Shalom Aleichem. We have today reading and learning from Insights in the Torah from Rav Zalman, Sorotzkin, and then we also have Rav Zvi Kushalevsky on the Torah. So anyway, this past Parsha was Parshas Pinchas. So, and Hashem is rewarding Pinchas for being very courageous when he rose up to slay the Zimri from the he was a prince of the tribe of Shimon, when he was committing an immoral act with one of the a princess of the tribe of Midian in the midst of everybody. So he did this, and Hashem saw that somebody was out for his kavod, for Hashem's kavod, for what is good for him. It says Bekano Eskenazi, that he was jealous for my sake, meaning he was jealous for Hashem's sake. So Velo Chilisi es Bnei Yisrael, Bekano Eskenazi. Oh wait. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen Heishiv es Chamosim Me'al Bnei Yisrael Bekano Eskenazi. V'socham Velo Chilisi es Bnei Yisrael Bekinosi. So Hashem is saying that when Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron the Kohen, turned back my wrath, meaning Hashem is saying he turned back his wrath upon the children of Israel, when he zealously avenged me among them, so I did not consume the children of Israel in my vengeance. So anyway, let's take a look at what it says here right now. And here we go. Okay, so Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. Hashem said to Moshe, saying, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen Heishiv es Chamosi me'al Bnei Yisrael. Bekano Eskenazi b'socham. Velo Chilisi es Bnei Yisrael. Velo Chilisi es Bnei Yisrael. Bekinosi. Mochein Emor Hineni Nosin Lo Es Brisi Shalom. So here we have the English now. Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Pinchas, Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron HaKohen, turned back my wrath from upon the children of Israel, when he zealously avenged me among them. So I did not consume the children of Israel in my vengeance. Therefore say, Behold, I give him my covenant of peace, and it shall be for him and for his offspring after him a covenant of eternal priesthood. So here, this is Rav Zalman Sorotzkin. He says, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen b'chulam. Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron the Kohen, etc. This rather lengthy description of Pinchas's identity, may be a clarification of why Hashem regarded his action to be so extraordinarily praiseworthy. After all, did not Moshe and Aharon also stand in the breach to save the people from destruction on several occasions? The Torah therefore mentions his name, Pinchas, which was mentioned only once before in a genealogical listing. Pinchas was virtually unknown as a public figure. Pinchas was virtually unknown as a public figure. Perhaps that is why his name is spelled with a small yud, Pinchas. You see Pinchas with the yud, to indicate that he was a simple, plain Jew. A yud also means Yehudi, a Jew. In that respect, his decisive action in the face of calamity was more striking than that of Moses and Aaron, who as leaders of the community were responsible for enacting such forceful measures. It takes extraordinary courage for a common person to act heroically and not rely complacently on the national leadership to control such matters. The verse continues to identify Pinchas as the son of Elazar, the Kohen. As a Kohen in training, the young Pinchas was certainly taught to abhor all forms of bloodshed. Kohanim were supposed to represent life and peace. There is a rule that any Kohen who has ever killed a person, even justifiably, as in self-defense, may not pronounce the priestly blessing in the synagogue. This sort of upbringing makes Pinchas's conduct in this situation even more outstanding. Moreover, he was the son of Aaron, who personified making peace and pursuing peace. He performed his brave act besocham, among not behind closed doors, but in public. Besocham, among them, in the midst of all the Israelites, particularly the Shimonites, the people of Shimon, despite the prevailing attitude which condoned Zimri's immoral behavior. This again serves to underline how striking Pinchas's course of action really was. There's something else interesting from Rav Sorotzkin, Rav Zalman Sorotzkin, Zatzal, Velo Shilisi Es Yisrael Bikinosi. So Hashem is saying, so I did not consume the children of Israel in my vengeance. The plague visited upon the Israelites as punishment for their immoral behavior did not have any effect on their consciences. In other words, there was a plague, and it was visited upon the Israelites, but this didn't really have any effect on the way they thought about, on their conscience. They continued to sin as if nothing had happened. Once moral laxity is accepted by society, it spreads like a contagious disease. The entire Jewish community would eventually have been afflicted by the disease if this sinful conduct had been allowed to continue unchecked. This is yet a further illustration of the magnitude of Pinchas's actions. He had done nothing less than save the entire congregation of Israel from certain destruction. Thus, the verse focuses on a single thing, an explanation as to why Pinchas was so deserving of the precious reward described in the following verses. We can read this, and this is from Insights in the Torah by Rabbi Zalman Sorotzkin. And here, this is Rav Zvi Kushalevsky on the Torah. Let's take a look at what he says. The meaning of shalom. What does it mean that Hashem gave Pinchas shalom, peace? Lochein emor hineni nosein lo esprisi shalom. Therefore, tell him, I am giving him my covenant of shalom. Bamidbar 25:12. What does it mean, shalom? Shalom, away from the angel of death. Away from the angel of death. To be away from the angel of death. In other words, to live a long life with Hashem's help. As it is written, quote, he makes peace in his heights. Eov 22:5. For a deterioration is caused by the friction of opposites. And when people are always against each other, there's a deterioration. As a result of this blessing, Pinchas merited a tremendously long life. The Sforno said this. The Sforno is touching on the depth of Hashem's reward to Pinchas here. A person has various drives, strengths, and qualities. All are necessary and all contribute to overall functionality. But only if they work in tandem, if they work together. If one of these is excessively expressed and another excessively suppressed, this can have a detrimental effect on a person. In other words, one has to try to have all of his or her drives and strengths working in tandem with each other for a certain purpose, for the reason that the person is his or her reason for being. Shalom means the harnessing of all of one's inner qualities and strengths. This is what the Sforno means in his comparison to Hashem making shalom in the higher worlds. Hashem maintains a perfect equilibrium and order such that each emissary malach and quality can express itself without infringing on another. As the Gemara tells us, he made fire and water and brought them together to create the firmament. Chagiga 12:8. He brought different conflicting aspects to create the firmament. The covenant of Shalom endowed Pinchas with a remarkable longevity because the balancing of his inner parts and qualities resulted in robust health. As the Alter of Kelm writes, if a person walks into a huge room and sees an elegantly set table and fancy crockery, the natural deduction is that important people will soon be dining here. When we look at the complexity of the various parts of the human body and the interrelationships between the parts, we deduce how much Hashem values order. The Alter of Kelm himself, that's Or Rav Simcha Zissel, Parshas Noach, section 57. Okay, the Alter of Kelm himself traveled to visit his son in yeshiva to check on his progress. He entered his son's room and saw that everything was in perfect order. He immediately realized that his son was doing well and left without feeling any need to interrupt his son's studies. Internal order and external order are meant to reflect each other. When we structure our lives, we reflect the divine order. So we should structure our lives, and then we reflect the divine order. We should try to have harmony if we can, and in doing Hashem's will and doing what we have to. So thank you very much, Yeshikayach, for listening. And this is from the Sefer Rav Zvi Kushalevsky on the Torah, and from Parshas Pinchas, and we had a reading from Rabbi Zalman Sorotzkin, Insights in the Torah. Yeshikayach, thank you very much. Kol Tov.